Yes. Okay, just a quick introduction then. I'm Sharon Ford. I'm the Learning Participation and Interpretation Manager for National Museum Wales. I say I'm one of several. And I'm also the Wellbeing Lead for the museum. And I'm going to show you a short film about a new project we've been running at the museum. And then talk a little bit about our work with people living with dementia to date, and then into the project itself. Now, the film is a recent edit that we made for a funder, and it refers to the Innovate Trust. Now, they're one of our partners in the project. There are several, and they work with adults with learning difficulties and mental health problems. So this is why their voice is there and quite prominent. But it'll give you a flavour of the Objects of Comfort project. So yeah, and it just proves really that, you know, it's a project not just for older people, not just for people living with dementia, a project with broad appeal. So off we go, and I hope there's no techie issues here. My name is Sharon Ford and I'm the Wellbeing Lead for Amgueddfa for Cymru, National Museum Wales.
My name is Arwen Thomas and I'm a Project Officer at Innovate Trust.
Over recent months, Amgueddfa for Cymru, National Museum Wales started work to reflect and respond to the way the world has changed.
Innovate Trust and Amgueddfa Cymru have worked together successfully for over 10 years to improve opportunities for people with learning disabilities. Most recently, this has involved helping to develop objects of comfort.
We've been enabling people to engage with our collections in a very different way to hopefully help improve their mood and well-being. People haven't been able to come to our 7 museums across Wales, so we've brought the museum to them. Our curators have been sharing the objects which people in the past have turned to in times of hardship and stress. And many people have shared their own back, which is helping us to shape new activities.
We've used images to encourage people to talk about their own memories, as well as their lockdown experiences, and as well as improving their general well-being through sharing and remembering. These sessions also help to develop work-related skills, such as communication and team working.
Since Objects of Comfort was launched, we've already provided collections-based activities for around 500 people, including those in care homes and for other groups who would usually be meeting regularly.
Our participants have varying degrees of disability, and the right image helps to convey far more to them than the right words ever could.
Care homes have told us that residents have very much enjoyed taking part in discussions around the museum objects and look forward to new content being released. Our website has included a series of downloadable resources which anyone can use to start conversations or spark reminiscences, with ideas for other activities alongside.
Many congratulations on the Objects of Comfort project. It's a fantastic way to connect people, to spark memories and conversation. And I'm really pleased to see the ambition to reach every care home with this project. It will really help to sustain older people who are living in care homes during these particularly challenging times where some of the activities they may have been able to enjoy haven't been possible. So I wish you every success with the next steps of the project, and a big thank you from me for all you are doing to bring comfort to older people during these difficult times.
Following the positive feedback in the first phase of the project, we now want to reach more people in Wales. We are looking for groups who usually meet online or in person to try out some of the activities as we create them. It would be good to see many different communities across Wales involved, so everyone can see themselves represented by the museum. We also want social care partners to tell us what works for them and their clients and service users. The more people who use the resources, the more relevant to everyone they will be. In the next phase, we will be doing more digitally, so people can enjoy more talks, tours and workshops with museum staff, and we'll be working with a range of Welsh writers, artists and craftspeople to widen the appeal of the resource. Please do get in touch. We'd love to hear from you. For more information, go to our website. Okay, thank you. Okay, let's just get my presentation up there. Oh, come on. Okay, bear with me. It's a bit slow.
Can I help you? You okay?
Yeah, I'm just waiting for the presentation to load. I've tried to run
Okay.
run it. It's
Okay.
just we were in a minute going round.
It's fine. We've got enough time. We're actually quite ahead of time.
Oh, okay.
Would you like to turn on your video?
I can turn it on.
Excellent.
Right, let me stop screen sharing and try again. Can you see the presentation there?
Yes.
The
Yes,
slides?
we can. Yes, we can. Yeah.
The only thing I can't seem to do is run it as a slideshow.
Click on slideshow at the top.
Yeah, I did. It seems to have jammed. Oh, dearie me.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, if we just have a break for a minute or so, let me just try and sort it out and restart it, and then we'll start again.
Okay.
Ah, great. Okay, let's have another go. There's something about living where I do in Blaenavon on the top of the mountain. I think we're the last in the pipe, in the connection for internet, and it's the slowest of the slow. Oh no.
Natalie Robertson saying your video was great. And yes, it is really, really great. So do you actually take the actual objects out of the museum to the people?
At present, no. We have done in the
of course.
past,
Yes.
you know, with COVID and restrictions, not at the moment. But part of this Objects of Comfort project plan is when we're able to, is developing loans boxes
Okay.
and boxes for loan and lending out, you know, that care homes and care settings and even individuals will be able to access.
And how do people respond
and I was coming on to that in my presentation, but there we go. Shall I just, I'll keep trying to do it. It's not, PowerPoint's not responding at all at the moment.
Okay.
But shall I just talk?
Yeah, sure, if you want. Yeah, because we can always upload your presentation to the Padlet for us to access.
Okay. I'm just going to have one final stab at doing this, and if not, I'm just going to talk.
Okay.
Right. Oh, dear me, it's been fine all day.
It's probably because you're on Zoom as well.
Yeah, that's the trouble. And everybody else in the household has been under strict instructions to shut everything down. So not everybody's vying for the internet there. Right. Let's see. Okay, I'm just going to go for it. I'm just going to talk. If it comes up, I'll try and dive back into it. So everybody, just use your imaginations, build a visual picture of what I'm talking about, and I'm sure you could do that, testing your brains this afternoon. So I'm from National Museum Wales, as I said. There are 7 sites across Wales, and I'm sure you know some of them from St Fagans, just outside Cardiff. There's a National Museum Cardiff in the centre of the city there. There's Big Pit Mining Museum in Blaenavon, where I am here. National Roman Legion Museum. There's a National Waterfront Museum in Swansea. National Slate Museum in North Wales, in Llanberis. And West Wales, we have the National Wool Museum at Drefach Felindra. And we also have the National Collection Centre at Nantgarw. So 7 sites plus a collection centre across Wales. We are the largest provider of learning outside the classroom in Wales. We have almost 250,000 formal learning visits every year. So that's schools, colleges, etc. And we also run a wellbeing programme. the next slide was going to say, well, why museums? Why museums and dementia? And we always say there's power in our places, our people and our programs. Because in addition to the museum's collections of over a million objects, I nearly said 100 million, not quite that many, we also have buildings from many different time periods relating to so many different areas of Wales. And it's a shame I can't show you the slide here from Fron Hael, the quarrymen's houses at the National Slate Museums, but please do have a look if we do put the PowerPoint on Padlet. Please go back through and look at some of these wonderful pictures. But if you step into this house from 1969, it's really like a time capsule. It's like stepping back in time. And I'm sure if you've been there or if you've been to any of the houses at St. Fagans, you know, you'll have the same experience in many of those. We're part of many people's life histories. And that's not just the objects we hold, it's our staff as well, and it's the buildings, it's our spaces. And I think Nigel's in the room here, Nigel Huller, and we're certainly part of his life history. He's been helping us, you know, develop a lot of the work we do with people living with dementia. And he's there, he's going to have the first ticket to get into the Vulcan pub, which is currently being reconstructed at St. Fagans, a pub that was in the centre of Cardiff. And he's got lots and lots of stories to tell relating to that pub. So we can't wait, and he can't wait. He's having the first pint. As you can imagine, places like Big Pit very much relate to people's working lives, but also their social lives as well. And, you know, we can have a big impact. We're so powerful for a lot of people, like I said. We can help create a sense of well-being for people. We can help increase self-esteem, and we can help people's general well-being by being part of their story. And as I said, we are, and involving them in our work as well, the participatory approach, which we so much value. You know, and after all, the museums don't belong to us, they belong to the people of Wales. Now, inspired by a Scandinavian model of dementia care and heritage, we knew we wanted to look at how our people, places and programmes were dementia supportive and enabling to grow that work as much as we could. And we knew that the participation of people with lived experience was central to developing this work, and that's been our whole ethos. You know, nothing about us without us, people always say, and that's been key to everything that we do. So we started by ensuring a number of staff were trained as dementia champions to be able to deliver the Dementia Friends awareness session. And I've got a lovely image here of our Big Pit minor guides in their helmets and overalls, proudly showing off their forget-me-not badges. It's a shame you can't see it, but, you know, put that image in your mind. Over 400 of our staff now out of 600 have been involved and wear the badge with pride. So this means front of house staff, staff in finance and other backroom departments who are behind the scenes, but also security and operational staff have done that awareness session, right through to museum directors and trustees. And we want that dementia supportive ethos to be threaded right through the organisation. So alongside this, you know, the first start of getting people dementia aware to become dementia aware, we brought people living with dementia and carers and volunteers into our museum spaces to audit them in terms of accessibility and also highlight potential problem areas, but also to tell us what they wanted in terms of programmes, so events, activities, and so on. And the next slide I would be showing is a slide of Big Pit, the dementia-friendly underground tour at Big Pit. And this started with us after listening to those with experience of dementia. Now, if you've been underground at Big Pit, you'll know it's everything but dementia-friendly. There's dark places, unfamiliar territory to most people. There's different sounds, smells, various lighting levels, all sorts of potential issues. But by letting people with lived experience to guide us through, we've developed a very successful addition to the museum's wellbeing program, and it's one of which I think I'm probably most proud. And when we did, it started with an idea from the group when we did a dementia-friendly audit of the Big Pit site to see what adjustments we can make. And they said, we want the underground tour. Why shouldn't we be able to do the underground tour? And we thought, well, fair point. And in the end, you know, by working with those with lived experience, we were able to deliver that, develop that. And we couldn't have done it alone. And I want to give the example of a guy named Keith, who was part of the development group there, the scoping group and the development group. He came with an existing meeting group that used to meet a few times a week, you know, primarily for his wife to have a break. He was further on in his dementia journey. Now, when Keith turned up on the day that we were first going underground with that group, we start by talking around a table, and it's really important that everybody gets to know their guide that's going to take them underground, because obviously there are all these potential issues and it's such an unfamiliar environment. You know, Keith wasn't listening. He wandered around. He stood up when everybody was sitting, when people were talking. He wasn't really engaged at all. By the time we got over to the pit top area for kitting up in the helmet, you know, the cap lamp, the gear, you'll know if you've been underground, all your safety equipment you have to take. Keith was starting to really talk. He was saying a few words. He was looking around. It was familiar. By the time we got underground and we started the tour, he was talking in fuller sentences. By the end, I'm confident that Keith really could have led that tour instead of the tour guide. Such was the impact that familiar environment, because Keith was an ex-miner, that environment had on Keith. It was a place he knew and he could relate to. And the group leader wrote to us afterwards and said, you know, he speaks in a single word occasionally, but he doesn't really talk in sentences, and we couldn't believe the change in Keith. And that's because that territory was familiar to him. Like I said, he worked in the industry, he was an ex-miner. And so it was such a powerful moment, and one that I'll just remember forever. But what we found as well is that people, even if they haven't got a direct link to an environment such as Big Pit, you know, just being in a different place and being able to meet different people and talk about different things really helps people to kind of engage. And at the end of the sessions, the dementia-friendly tours, there's always a real buzz. You know, people really value it. So since then, imagine a lovely slide now with some really nice craft tiles, some really nicely crafted clay tiles inspired by our National Museum collections. We've developed a number of sessions relating to temporary and permanent exhibitions in the museum. We run tactile art and craft sessions, immersive sessions and sensory sessions in historic buildings. We've developed a strong relationship with Bangor University and other dementia partners, and until lockdown, we were running a successful meeting group at the National Slate Museum called the Caban Group. You know, and do look it up. It's a fab group. They do some wonderful things, but really immersive in one of the historic buildings. And again, like I said, you know, people can relate to that building. We've worked with DEEP, Alzheimer's Society, the Older Persons Commissioner, and many more localized partnerships to develop this work. We couldn't have done it alone. And we also helped him to launch a national publication on dementia-friendly heritage with our good friend Nigel. And I did have a really lovely picture of me and Nigel to show, which obviously I can't show you now, but go back and have a look. Now, by mentioning all of this, it has a lead into talking about the Objects of Comfort project. And it was really to say, A, that we're continually working with and developing our work around the needs of people living with dementia, and B, most of this, understandably and very unfortunately, has had to stop during COVID. Most of our work involves bringing people into our spaces as part of the whole kind of social engagement ethos and engaging with our buildings, collections, etc. And clearly we haven't been able to do that. But what we did early on in the first lockdown was to talk to our partners, to organisations, individuals, about what their needs were, how we could help. We attended meetings and webinars, and I must say those are the Three Nations Dementia Working Group were most informative.
Sharon, just to say you've got a minute left.
All right, we listened, we researched, and we adapted, and this is where the project began. And I was going to show you some examples of the objects resources. So again, please go to our website and have a look. We heard that people were looking for things, and it's a theme that's come up, you know, over the course of the conference. People to engage with in a meaningful way on a regular basis, people afraid of losing their skills, etc., and seeing a decline due to the lack of social and physical contact. So we found out also that care homes, were facing different stressors, many stressors going on, and different ways of working and looking after people and so on, and relatives not being able to be involved. But they were looking for meaningful activities to engage people with during social isolation. So this is where the Objects of Comfort project began. So what it is, it's a series of themed activities based on objects from museums' collections. They can be used to facilitate conversations, generate happy memories, to improve mental health, as stimulus for craft activities, etc. And really for anybody in danger of facing social isolation. After a successful pilot last summer, we're developing the resource further, and our ultimate goal is reaching all care homes in Wales. We did pilot with several care settings across Wales, and our trusty team of partners, people living with dementia, others involved in social care and health, to create these resources, available to download from a computer and print out, or to engage with online. And each activity has a story about an object in our collection, talking points, enabling staff and carers to have a starting point for meaningful conversations and activities. They're on different themes, and it's themes that have been coming to us from people using the resource, not from us creating those themes. And just to say, we're developing the resource further. We've managed to get some funding, thanks to the film, partly thanks to the film that we just shown. And we're looking at new content with Welsh artists, writers, craftspeople. And I know Patrick's in the room here, and Patrick's already involved in doing some writing sessions for us, virtual writing sessions, which will be fantastic, I know. The inclusion of lots of artful photography and really nice images have captured people's imagination, and they are really at the centre of the resources, and they've allowed us to explore our collections further and bring our own curatorial staff together to share and work together on projects that they wouldn't normally do. And we found that it really improves the well-being of staff as well to be involved in projects like these. So I think my time's almost up. Sorry you haven't been able to see anything, you're just listening to me. But just to conclude, this is very much the start of a journey for us. It's an organic resource which will grow in response to more people using it. And part of the ethos of the resource is it's two-way engagement. So it's not just us putting content out there. We want people to tell us what they want and share how they're using the resources. For the future, we're working currently with a national partner, to develop our dementia work across Wales, because our museums are seen as safe spaces. So it's to take the Objects of Comfort and the whole ethos of, comfort and being safe in museums a little step further. And we can't wait to welcome people to our sites again. Oh, and just to mention as well, I did mention the loans boxes somebody asked about. We've got a collection of several thousand objects that used to be the kind of museum in a van. It was a schools outreach collection, which have been mothballed for a number of years now and just sat there waiting for somebody to do something with them. So we've repurposed those for wellbeing purposes so that we can share objects from our collections right across Wales with individuals, with groups, with care settings, etc., etc. So again, exciting times. So apologies about the presentation, but if you want to find out more, please get in touch with me direct, and please do go to the Padlet and have a look at the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sharon. We say thank you to all the other speakers, Angela and Ida. We'll go back to the big room now.